Hi guys, I'm Anita and I'm back with another video. Today I want to share with you a weekly reading check-in update thing, and I would like to talk to you a little bit about my reasons for not having done any booktube videos in the past couple of weeks. July has been pretty hectic and difficult, and I had a lot of stuff. So let's talk a little bit about that. So I always know that August is my busiest month work-wise. So the more I can manage before I leave for the summer vacation, the better. And this time I was able to get a good head start into it, and I knew that still August would be really busy. So I ended up working a lot the last week up to my summer vacation, which started on Friday last week. I'd already had some really long days, and then Wednesday evening there was a semi-final in football, the Euros between Denmark and England, which Denmark ended up losing it, but that's not nothing about that. But it started at 9 p.m. our time, and then went into extra time after the 90 minutes. It was 1-1, so we went into extra time, and by that time it was still 1-1 or something like that, or even, then we're going to penalty shootouts. It ended up being, I didn't go to bed until like midnight, a little over midnight, and had a hard time actually falling asleep afterwards because you were so anxious. After that it was a really tight match. Yeah, but then had to get up at 5:30 and was really tired in the morning, so just thinking, okay, when I get home I can take a turn. Like, that day was the day of hell. Is what I've been calling it since then, because then after lunch, I think actually it was just after 1 p.m. I just finished my lunch and was back and doing what I had to do, when someone came in and shouted, there's a fire, and we were like, a fire where? We hadn't really noticed anything. And every Thursday I am at a customer's office. It is a summer rental office company thing, so it rents out summer houses all year long, and then it is sort of a three-linked thing. It looks like an old a farm, you know, that has like 3 lengths. I don't know if you've seen if that's the same wherever you are, but the first 2 over here like are the office, kitchen, stuff area where the office is having their stuff, and also there's like a storage area. And then the last link, the bottom, is also a storage area for cleaning supplies and stuff that the workers use to get the summer houses ready for the renters. And the top floor is an apartment that is rented out every summer, every time there's someone needing that apartment. And it turns out there was a fire that had started in that kitchen of that apartment, and the roof of this has been made of straw, so when the fire took on, it really went quickly, and we hadn't noticed anything. So when they came in and shouted there's a fire, then everything changed, and we all went into like survival mode, or whatever you call it. We called the fire station, obviously, the police and everything that came out, and then we had to think about what we had to save what was the most important for us to save, so that in case that the fire spread over to our section. So we did that, and spent all of my time from 1 p.m. to 4 when I left, or something like that, managing this, helping out and all of that. But then at 3 p.m. it was a time where it was like everything was a little low-key again. I was just sitting there having some water, reflecting and trying to figure out what to do next, because there were moments when we were allowed to go in and gather things, and there were moments we couldn't. So we had to hear from a policeman who were managing this. They had to decide when we could do what. And so at that time we were just getting it was a really hot day, so we were having water and sort of like just a small break, and I had a text from my mom saying that my dad was at the emergency room having his leg checked out because they think he had a blood clot. And so I was like, I didn't really think more further on than that, because I knew, like, I don't know. I was just thinking maybe it was a checkup, maybe it was something else. I knew that he has had issues with his veins. It's called, I'll just find the correct term for it. It's called varicose veins. So obviously if they get too, like, it's like when like veins sort of get knotted in a way, and he has had issues with that. My grandmother and my grandmother on the other side have always had issue with that, and my sister actually has it. But they've been told that if that can go, like, be an infection in that. He went actually because he thought that was what it was. But if you're also not observant enough, it can end up being a blood clot in your leg. So you have to be obviously looking after them if you have issues with it. And so at the time when I was just told this, I didn't think much more about it. I obviously knew it was serious, and I will check in with my mom like later when I went home. And the first thing I did after I left there was to, also because we couldn't really leave, like the fire trucks and everything, they took up all of the space, so it was difficult actually getting out from where we were. So I actually couldn't really think about that at this present time. But at 4:15 or something, I managed to be able to leave. And I was at I went directly to my parents. My mom was in the garden doing things, so she could sort of think of some other things. And then she told me that they were checking this, and they were checking because they think that maybe there's also some in his lung. And I was like, how is that possible, kind of thing, you know? But at the moment they were sort of trying to figure out if he had COVID-19, because that was what they were thinking. He had got his second shot by the end of June. No, yeah, the 25th of June, I think. And so the time after the second shot wasn't completely over, like, so it could be that it was COVID-19, you know, he wasn't fully effective. And then my mom told me that they were waiting around for some tests for COVID-19 because they thought that that might be it, even though he has been tested like regularly since actually getting the vaccine, because my sister is pregnant. He didn't want to take anything home with him accidentally, and also because he had been feeling a little bad. He had been having issues with, like, he had something in his lung, so he thought that it might be allergies, but he tested himself regularly in order for that not being COVID-19. So he went to the doctor on Tuesday with allergies, or thinking that it was his allergies. He has pollen allergies, so it could have been that infected his breathing and his issues. And so he got some medication for that, and then on Thursday he went again to the doctor because he thought he had he had like an infection in his varicose veins, whatever you call it. It turns out that it was a blood clot. She knew it immediately, and then she knew also there was something about his lungs that they had to check it out because of the things because of him being in there on Monday or Tuesday. And then we had waited around for test results getting back, whether it was COVID-19. We didn't think it was, but he had 3 different types of tests sent with express taxi to the lab, waiting around for the test result to get back. And not until he got the test result back, he was able to get his lungs scanned. So at 11 p.m. that evening, my mom called and said it wasn't COVID-19, which we didn't think, but it was nice to have it confirmed. And he was going to get a scan as soon as possible, but when that would be, we didn't know. So she was leaving from the hospital. She'd been there since after having dinner and waiting around. And then my dad had to stay there overnight, and I went and slept at my mom's place, sort of because I didn't want her to be alone, and I hadn't really been sleeping. I mean, I was so tired already that day, so with all of the things that went on that day, I just couldn't focus on anything. I didn't do anything, but I also couldn't sleep. So we ended up finding out that my dad did have blood clots in his lung as well. He actually had 4 small ones in each lung, and because they were sort of the outer area of the lung, it wasn't as serious. It was still serious, but you know, he was lucky of where they sat, and he's able to remove them by getting blood thinning medicine. And on Monday this week, he went and had a scan of his heart to make sure, because when you have blood clots in your lung, you're also obviously having to check your heart whether it's okay, and if there's something that seems off with that. And everything looked good, and he actually was told that, because when he was at the hospital admitted, he was told that he had to have blood thinning medicine the rest of his life. But when he went actually and talked to the after having his heart scanned, he was told that everything looked so good that it might be only the next half year, the next 6 months, so that he was on blood thinning medicine. So we'll have to see how things go. So he was really lucky about how things happened. But the thing that caused the blood clots in his lung was that the blood clot in his leg had breached, and that had moved up, and that is something that can happen. And so a lot of people wouldn't have gone to the doctor because they didn't know better. Yeah, so he's lucky about where they were and when he went, and that it hadn't gotten further. And the nurse told him to go and buy a lottery ticket because he was so lucky. So it was a really long day, and a long Friday as well, even though I had to go to work and had my last day before having to go, and not a lot of people knew about this. I told a couple of people, like the secretary at work when I just met in, because she was there, and then my office roommate thing. And then one of my colleagues came in and asked me on Friday, I just need to know that you're okay. I had a dream that you went home with stress, and she just wanted to know that I was okay. And I was just like, then I had to tell her what happened the other day, but I thought that was so weird that she came and said that, and that she had like that feeling. So that was really strange. Yeah, so that was a rough time. But then we went into the weekend. My sister had to be started, like baby time. She was started on Saturday morning. And so we were waiting around and waiting around and waiting around for something to happen. And again, she went into like labor for like more than 24 hours at least. And the next day at 9:15 my niece came, and she was healthy and everything, and she's like 500 grams bigger than Buster. So she's a big baby, and also 4 centimeters longer, so she's like a big baby. But she's nice, she's great. And so that put a different light to our situation for sure. So it was a rough couple of days, but everything turned out well. And then yesterday I actually went and had my first shot of the vaccine. I have a little, my arm is a little bit sore when I go higher than this, but that's all of it. I haven't had anything else, so I'm really happy about that. And then this week I've actually had vacation, but I haven't really felt like filming. So now I just wanted to check in with an update. Yeah, so now I just wanted to talk a little bit about the things that I've been reading, just to catch up a little bit and get back into filming. And we'll see how it goes, because I can't promise anything. My mind has been different the past couple of weeks. I struggled a little bit with my mental state, but I have been able to read, so I wanted to talk a little bit about that. First things first, I ended up finishing The Tommyknockers by Stephen King, finally. I've been working on this for the past 2 months, and it was a really strange book. It's a really long book as well. It's almost 1,000 pages, and it follows this town where something happens to them. It's something like of an alien thing that comes, and the women, they start having like constant period cramp, like they're bleeding constantly. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about Stephen King writing about that and making that a thing. So that was strange. But then there was other things that happened, like sort of how they could sort of hear all of other people's thoughts and sense things around them. And then there was something about them losing their teeth. Like at some point they just started losing teeth, and they started losing a lot of weight as well, even though they were eating like all the time. So there's a lot of weird things, and I'm still not sure how I liked it. I think I'm ending on about a 3 out of 5 stars. It was definitely way too long and too strange for me to even enjoy it. But there were moments that I enjoyed of it, and it was set somewhere around Derry. Derry was mentioned a lot, and Derry is the city or town that it was set in. So yeah, can't really tell you more about that. But it was a strange book. Another book that I finished over the past week was Fantasy Lover, Xiaolin Kenyon. This is my buddy read with Shannon from Shannon Riddler. We've been decided to buddy read this together. I contacted her with this, and I'm happy that she wanted to buddy read it with me. This one is the first, like, it's not part of the actual Dark Hunter series, but it's sort of a prequel story thing that's set in this world, and it has some connection to it. And I'm unsure about how that works. It sort of follows this girl who gets the hands of this book that has a spell on it, and inside this book there's like this love slave thing called Julian, and he has been there like it's for centuries, and because of him being punished for something he did when he was alive, and he is a part of the Greek mythology, and a son of Aphrodite. Summons him sort of fun, and then starts to try to get to know him, and you'd think that it would end up being just like them having sex all the time, and it's not really about that. I mean, there's a lot of sexual innuendos, and there's a lot of talk about sexual stuff and some build up and tension and stuff, but it's actually a lot more about what happened with Julian, what put him in that position. We also learn a lot about our main character Grace, who I just started out by calling something completely different. But I enjoyed it. It's not like my favorite thing ever, but it was an enjoyable read, and it was a good start to the series. There were some things that I think is a product of its time, like it's published back in the early 2000s, I think around 2000 or 2002 or something like that. So it's a really old book, and so there are things that you wouldn't write today that's like, yeah. But then there's also something that was a little bit unbelievable with, she's a sex therapist, which is fine. And then there was something about the way a client sort of, something that happened with a client, and I felt like that whole section was a little bit unbelievable. But otherwise, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the connections to the Greek mythology, the side characters that happened. That was really, really funny. So I don't know, I haven't actually decided on a rating, but I think I'm around a 4 out of 5 stars for this, because I definitely enjoyed it, but there was a couple of things that dragged it down. But I'm very eager to read on and figure out what's going to be happening in the next coming books. So the next thing that I've also been reading is The Radical Elements. I just haven't gotten very far because the first week I just didn't read very much. I've read the first 4 stories and started on the 5th, and they haven't been as good as the first collection was so far, but they've been okay. They're like a 3.5 stars kind of place right now, but I'm hoping that the stories that the more I get into it, I will enjoy more. This one is by Jessica Spotterwood, whose stories I've previously really enjoyed, so I'm looking forward to seeing if I enjoy this one. I have also started on Making Money by Terry Pratchett. This is a Mort van Lipwijk book. It's also part of the Industrial Revolution, and I am I think around 150 pages into it. I haven't found my spot since last time, but I know I've read a little further on. But I'm enjoying it. I've missed a Terry Pratchett book, so I'm really enjoying it, and I'll let you know more about it when I eventually finish it. Last and final thing that I've been working on, and I'm started on today, is Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. It's one I started this morning, and I read the first 30 pages, the first 2 chapters, and I'm already enjoying it, so I'm definitely looking forward to continuing with this over the next coming days. So yeah, this is what I will be working on over the weekend mostly, and see how far I can get. I realized how long it's been since I read this, and there's so much fun, and it just started already funny. Like, you're really sucked into it from the beginning, and I enjoy it. So yeah, another Greek mythology retelling thing. So those are the things that I'm currently working on. I'm sorry this one turned out to be a little bit long, but I felt like I had to explain myself of why I've been absent a little bit from the past couple of weeks, and it's not because I want a lot of attention. It's just I needed you to know that that's the reason, and it's not because I don't want to do it. It's just that I've had a lot of other thoughts in my head, and haven't really been able to focus on that. So yeah, but things are looking better now with my niece here and everything. I'm looking forward to getting to know her. She looks a lot like Buster, like when he was born. They have a lot of similarities. I'm enjoying having some time off, and next week my sister's also on vacation. My mom and dad is, so we're probably going to do a couple of things. The weather has been really nice, and my brother and me and my sister Susan, we are leaving for Copenhagen next weekend on Sunday, and getting back again on Wednesday. So that will be like our vacation this year. But I haven't been in Copenhagen since, what year was it that the attack on Utøya in Norway was. That was when we were in Copenhagen last, because I remember vividly knowing about this when we were sitting in the metro, and we were like a little worried that it was a terrorist attack in Oslo, and then it turned out to be way worse than that. But that happened. That's the last time we're in Copenhagen, so it's been a long time ago. I feel like it was like 12. So yeah, it's been a long time ago since we were there last, and so we're looking forward to visiting, and hopefully the weather will still be nice when we get there. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say today, and we'll see if I manage to do some videos over the next coming days. I'm hoping that I can film a wrap-up. I know I haven't done that in a long time. I think I need to work on a way that I can do this without feeling like it's a struggle to start filming those. I think maybe a weekly update is better, of some kind, and then just not caring about a monthly wrap-up of some kind. That way I can talk about everything that I'm reading, and I really don't know how my schedule will be over the next time. But yeah, this was everything I had for you today. Let me know in the comments down below how you're doing, if you've been reading anything exciting recently, if you are having a summer vacation as well. Also let me know on what you're planning on doing. I need to stop talking, and hopefully you're doing well. And if you like the video, please go to thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video very soon, for hopefully. See you, bye.